Hello and welcome to the Triumph Speed Triple Sprag Clutch Fix. So this is a 1050 2006 Speed Triple, and I was having some issues here. And first thing you need to know to do is you need to drain the oil. So that before this video was shot, I drained the oil, and then you're going to start on this cover here. And you're going to have to be very careful because these are very easy to strip screws, and that's why I am using air tools here, but I am using them with a very low torque setting on the actual air tool, and I'm just doing it to speed and taking them off. While putting them on, I'll mention it again, but you don't want to use air tools to torque down anything with when putting on. So first thing you do, and that's my lovely assistant there, my fiance. So you take off this this one plate. This plate actually is needed to take off the additional plate that's underneath. And when you take this off, you got to be careful because there's a few washers here that are going to pop out. There's a post, there's a wave washer and a regular washer. Please be careful because they do kind of spring out, and you get a shot of that right here. So another thing you got to mention is that all the gaskets that you're going to need to do this, you're going to need to reuse, get new ones. You're not going to be able to reuse. You have to get new ones. So when you order your Sprag kit parts, you're going to have to do 2 gaskets as well. So the outer cover actually hides 2 bolts inside that need to be taken off to get the other cover that's to the right off. And you see me loosening those 2 right here. And once we get that cover, well, those 2 bolts off, you can start taking off the larger cover that actually hides the Sprag clutch. So again, I put everything in bags separately, in separate bags. It just makes it easier to get stuff when you need it and organize, and that way you don't screw up. A lot of people might say that you should, use the same exact bolt on the same exact cover position, and I find that unnecessary for something like an external cover. For something like your inside when you're doing a valve job or something like that, definitely. But that's because it mates up. You want to make sure that you have a good seal, and it's a little bit more important here. Here, the gasket's going to take care of that, and you're not torquing these down very hard. I think you're going to look at like 9 Newton meters or something extremely light on the torque down when you do torque it down. So moving on, you get these covers off. They're a pain. There's a lot of bolts there. So you'll notice that anytime that the film goes black and white or sepia or whatever you want to call that, that's just me speeding it up. So this video will be about 20 minutes long, and overall this whole Sprag fix basically took, I'd say, 4 hours. And that includes, from first draining the oil, letting it drain completely out, to full assembly and getting it back in. So now I'm showing you, pointing out some of the points in there that you just got to make sure you're going to clean off that gasket. Make sure you get that clean. That won't be in these videos. You're going to have to take those off and clean them off. You're going to need that. And of course, make sure that you take those locator pegs and put those in the right bag for you too. Now my cover was extremely hard to get off. So you see here me persuading it, but obviously this is a easy to hurt cover, I guess you could say. You don't want to hurt that mating surface. And I'm prying here, trying to be as ginger as possible, not trying to pry. That's an old soft screwdriver. And actually you'll see me in 2 seconds think better of myself and put something on the edge of it and try and make sure that I don't mar any of the surfaces. I am using the little separator peg there that's on the engine cover. But with some persuasion, voila, it gets off. There it goes. That's how it looked when it was on, and we pull it off. And of course, now this also has locator pegs as well. Make sure you take care of those and locate those. Strip off the rest of that gasket. Make sure both surfaces on the inner of the cover and the actual engine are clean before we do any type of reassembly. Now when you take this off, you're going to see that the Sprag clutch is right in front of you. It's held on by an Allen. In 2 seconds you're going to see me attempt to do it with one of my socket Allens and then realize I don't have the right size. So tools, that's a good time to go over tools that you'll need. You'll need a socket set, air tools, obviously make it easier to take stuff off. You'll need a persuader to get that cover off. You'll need an Allen to get this middle Sprag off. And I think that's just about it. You don't really need a lot of different tools to do this, which is a good thing. It helps to have air tools. It helps to have nice tools, of course. Um, and if you look at this Sprag actually was given that characteristic tick, 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 clunk, and it would stop. I kind of got worried because as I'm taking this off and I'm doing the test on the Sprag, it's actually engaging like it should. But as you'll see that this did fix my issue. So even though this little test here where it's only turning one way and that's the way it's supposed to go, and then you try and turn it the other way and it doesn't move, it still was a messed up Sprag based on that tick, 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 clunk noise when you try and start your bike. This is a nice special tool. Actually, I forgot about this tool. This is a clutch tool. You'll actually need this, and it's nice because you'll be able to use the side you're looking at with those prongs are used if you're ever doing a clutch job. And the little tiny pegs on the inside are actually nice because they will hold your Sprag clutch firm while you break the bolt free. And like I said earlier, trying to use an Allen here, not the right size Allen. So rather than strip it and be an idiot, I decided, oh, well, I could either go out and buy the tool or, oh, that's right, I have just good old Allen keys that I can use. Now this becomes a problem later on when you want to torque it down and you can't put your torque wrench on an Allen, but there it goes. I think it's an 8mm, I'm not positive on that, but with the clutch tool and an Allen here, you can break it free. And actually you can see I'm just breaking this with my hand and some leverage here. And then I think better of myself and think, you're right-handed, Tom. Use your right hand. So I switch hands here in a second and get it broken free, no problem. What's going to be behind this, obviously after you unscrew it, is going to be your actual Sprag clutch and some washers. So just make sure you know the order of the washers. And in the middle of all that's going to be a needle bearing, and you're going to reuse the needle bearing. There's two pieces actually of the Sprag clutch that get sandwiched in between the needle bearing and or I should say the opposite way around. The needle bearing gets sandwiched in between them. So you'll see I took off the bolt, and now we're pulling off the two pieces. It separates. You can see mine has, there you go, and the needle bearing's still on the motorcycle. There it is. I'm touching it right now. There you go. So what I want to make sure you notice here is that there is a big difference. So it's kind of one thing, I'm a big Triumph fan, but actually I'm a little pissed off that this wasn't covered under a free service to get these fixed. This is a known problem. A lot of people have Sprag clutch issues now, and it's not cheap. These parts are freaking expensive. Thankfully, I have my dad taught me enough to be handy, and I'm able to do this job myself. But it's not a cheap job. The parts are expensive, and they should have done this for us. You'll see why in a second, because when we put the new part on, you'll see that it was redesigned in later issues, and it's a completely different size. The one side, these gears here, not much difference. They changed a little bit of orientation of those and the number of those dots, and I'm sure that has to do with some balancing, and the holes there are a little bit different, but not the end of the world. Here's where the big difference is. On this side, you can see that, wow, that is a huge difference in size. The old one is much smaller. So you can see that this was definitely redesigned. Don't freak out that you're getting a bigger piece now. It does fit, it does work. They redesigned it, and they should have done this from the start. They should have fixed everyone's bike from the start, but instead they're kind of hiding, which, kind of screw you, Triumph. That's a really shitty thing you're doing to your customers, and especially your customers that are loyal to your brand. Make sure you put your needle bearing on right. Line it up. Nope, good old Hayes manual with my lovely assistant there, just making sure I'm looking at it right. The Hayes manual is great. The one I have is a Triumph 1050 Spirit Speed Triple and Tiger 05 to 2013. They basically are the same engine in all of them. So once you get it fit, you'll put that Allen back on and you'll torque it down, and don't quote me, but I want to say it's like 54 Newton meters, something like that. That's the one that needs to get torqued down enough. Now I'll be honest, because I didn't have my bit, I had to just torque it down by hand pretty damn hard, and said screw it, it's good enough. I don't think I'll have any issues with that. Let's hope, cross my fingers. So when you're reassembling, make sure that your locator pegs, whoever's the engineer that decided to put those locator pegs, thank you very much. Those locator pegs are extremely helpful. The pegs help you get that gasket on there sitting nice, and you don't have to worry about lining it up and it slipping and oh my god, it slipped, I broke it, I need a new gasket, crap. Those locator pegs are key. So I'm using clean oil, and like I said, I took the oil out, and if you look at my oil, there's my assistant there passing me the gasket. The oil I took out I had just changed, by the way, a week before, so I was a little pissed that now I'm going to do this fix, and I had just changed the oil. So I saved it all in a nice clean pail and some containers. So if you see me dipping into what looks like this ugly thing right there, it's actually clean oil there. And you lube up the inner surface. Make sure you lube it up good, and then it actually sticks pretty well to this mating surface here. And then you put your gasket on, and you can lube up the opposite side of it while it's on there actually, and it sticks right to it because of those nice locator pegs. See, wonderful. And then of course lube up the cover side and sandwich it on, and then torque down the bolts. You'll see in a second. So there's me putting some nice clean oil on this gasket. Gaskets suck, by the way. I don't know, you guys ever have done engine work before, you know that when you don't do it right, they leak like a mother. I know guys that use just RTV and stuff like that, and the paper gaskets are always better. Just buy the damn gasket. They cost, what, I think it's like $7 and $11, or I don't know how much it was, but it's totally worth it not to have a leaking motorcycle. You don't drive a Harley, you drive a Triumph. So there is me locating it on those pins, getting it nice. A little help from my assistant. Making sure you mate up, get some oil on that inner surface like I said earlier, and get it on there. And then get a few bolts just finger tight. You'll see me using the air ratchet here. Please note, I'm not torquing these down all the way, I'm just getting them threaded. Do not use your air ratchet to tighten down engine cover bolts. One, you'll strip them and you'll hate yourself, and you'll have to use easy outs on very soft metal, and then you'll scar them. It's just a pain in the ass. Two, you want to make sure these are torqued to the right spec. So after I get them, most of the way down, I'll actually, button them up and then use a torque wrench to the right torque setting. Don't quote me, but like I said, I think it's 9 Newton meters. Go get your manual. I really suggest you go get a Hayes manual. I think they're actually a little pricey for what I think. It's like $30. I don't know, with most of the shit you can see on the internet. But it's really nice to have right there, right in front of you, when someone doesn't have this video made for you to show you how to do it. And there's my assistant getting me my torque wrench. So, like I said, I torqued them down with the torque wrench to the right spec and not with the air ratchet. So all you people that are going to be commenting on it, oh, you used an air ratchet. I didn't do it right. I didn't do it wrong. Don't worry. So, the one thing that I don't like how they designed is how they have those, you have a cover inside a cover basically, and you have to take 2 bolts out of the one to get the one off, and I'm sure it's efficient when you're on an assembly line, but it's a pain in the ass. Like, just make 2 separate covers. Like, what, and the other thing is you have like 3 different reducing gears here. You have your starter that has a tiny gear to another gear to the Sprag gear that holds, like, there's 6 different ways to reduce it, and I'm sure there's some mechanical engineer out there that there's a reason for this, and that's great. But it's such a pain when you have to do this. Make sure when you're doing these bolts, like I said, they're really light, and actually when I was taking these bolts off, they broke off really easy. And when I mean broke, the effort it took to open it was very light. I was actually like extremely surprised at how easy these bolts were to open up. So they will just snap off if you over torque them. So now you got to get that other cover on, but now got one more gasket. There's me torquing it down to the right spec. The characteristic of this issue was, like I said, it goes tick 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 clunk, and then it just won't try and start anymore. It's extremely unnerving when you're stopped someplace, you just went out, you're gonna start heading home, and you can't get your bike started because the damn starter doesn't actually engage with what's going on here. I never try to run start the bike. My suspicions is that it probably would have worked. You know, that's why I kind of, you know, it's kind of a pain that this is a, you know, this is, you know, the issue here is that now we have modern bikes with electronic starters. I kind of wish every bike had a Kickstarter still. That would make stuff just so much easier. Actually, I'm looking for an old bike to fix up, and the ones I'm looking at are old Kawasaki KZs. And the reason I'm looking for that is one, they're not super expensive. Two, I love Kawasaki just like I love Triumph. And three, before 1980 or 81 or somewhere around there, they all had Kickstarters, which is great. And some of them had both Kickstarters and electric starters, which if you want to eliminate one or the other, you can. So torque these down, torque down that inner bolt to the right torque, and you know, another thing, everyone's going to comment, oh, the video's so jerky. Guess what? This is mostly for myself to see if I did something wrong or see if I forgot a bolt or something like that. I'm kind of just doing this because I thought, hey, somebody out there might have the same issue and they could probably benefit from having a Sprag clutch installed. Because guess what? I couldn't find it anywhere on the internet. I saw plenty of people that had Sprag clutch issues, but no one who fixed it showed a video how to do it. So you're welcome for those who are watching this who are having the issue, and if you're complaining about it, well, screw you, I don't care. So now let's get those bolts tightened down to the right area, or to the right torque. Just making sure here at the end I'm doing it, you know, symmetrically. You should not tighten bolts symmetrically when you're actually torquing it down the first time. Always go in a star pattern to make sure you have equal pressure along the whole bolt face. So now that you have these on, you can start working on the next gasket, and it's basically exactly the same thing. This is not that hard of an install. What you have to make sure with with all these gears is that you have the right washer. Again, there's flat washers, there's these wave washers, there's the actual gear. Make sure when you're taking it off you pay special attention to the order. Like I said, most of the time I videotape what I'm doing here just so I don't screw that up, so I don't mess something up with the wrong order, or put the flat washer before the wave or the wave before the flat and things go bad. Again, some clean oil just to oil that up a little bit. And we're going to put the washers just like we found them. The wave washer is interesting. It's I reused all the washers on this. I didn't feel like there was any reason not to. Make sure everything turns when you're engaging all the gears. The gears should turn freely just by hand in one direction. That's the whole point of the Sprag clutches. It only turns in one direction. So you can see me now putting some oil just like we did earlier. And we're going to do this just like we did the other one, which means those locator peg, or locator peg, I can't remember if there's one or two here, come really in hand. You know, they're very handy. Get some oil, get some clean oil on that, and then of course install your cover. And then make sure that when you're in 2 seconds, I'm gonna actually put the oil back in the bike. Make sure you put the oil back in the bike. Make sure you check the level. Can I also tell you that the one thing that kind of pisses me off, the dipstick. I really wish they just had the good old sight glass. I cannot stand the dipstick, especially a black dipstick, a black plastic dipstick for oil. That makes no sense to me at all why Triumph would do that. I know it's probably just a cost-saving measure, but really, you're spending all this money on a freaking bike and you're going to cheap out on the dipstick? Either put a sight window or make a white bottom dipstick so I can see the actual damn level of where my oil is. Putting a black plastic one, that's just moronic to me. I just don't get it. And the sight glass is nice because you can literally see it yourself. You don't need someone to hold the bike up. And then with the dipstick, it's just a pain in the ass doing it with one person. You always need your lovely assistant around to help you. And then she bitches about how you're doing stuff on the bike and she needs the help to find the damn oil. But I digress. So make sure you're torquing these down in a star pattern, just like you're seeing here. And voila, we're going to pour that oil in. And like I said, it's only a week old, but it's kind of damn ugly, isn't it? And it's really nice and clean and fresh a week ago. So we'll probably, after we take this guy out of storage this year, put some new oil in it just for the hell out of it. Maybe the previous owner of this bike, you know, my oil change cleared out a lot of the sludge. So topping it off here, making sure we're at the right level. And then, of course, we're going to cap her off, stand her up straight, give her a couple clicks, and see what happens. Now, because you didn't have the oil in, you're going to have to be careful and make sure that you don't crank her too much, but listen up here, and she'll start up right for you. And hopefully your bike starts up just like this one. That's good. Yeah. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope that you can have the confidence to do this yourself. It's not a cheap fix to let someone else do, so save some money and do it yourself.